It's episode 4 of Shh, we're in conversation, and we're back with Rehana. Rehana, this week I want to touch on a pretty important aspect of business, which is collaboration. I know this week you've had a couple of collaborations going on within the Barefoot Facilitator. Could you please give us some insight into what happened?
Yes, it's been a fascinating week of relationships and work that either focused from a content perspective on collaboration or saw us being in collaborative relationships with others. So last Saturday, Mohammed Modin from Tau Security, which is one of the local security companies in the area where Barefoot Space is based, had wanted to do a meet and greet with the community of Westdean, and we were able to collaborate on that, where Mohammed was able to set up some gazebos, bring some of his vehicles, and specifically kind of indicate to the community his various offerings as a local security company. The kind of feedback from the community was, even where they don't have Tau as a service provider, that they do notice the extent to which this company cares about the overall security of the area. Then on Sunday, we had a really interesting opportunity introduced by Sanam Mystery to meet Tseke Nkadimeng, and Tseke is part, together with Sanam, of the global Save Soil movement. And of course, meeting Tseke was one of my highlights this week. He, in 2022, walked 10,000 kilometers across the length and breadth of South Africa, spreading the message of the importance of the regeneration of soil and agriculture that is regenerative, and the future of humanity and the future of food security depends on saving our soil. And we immediately agreed that we need to collaborate in the build up towards the 5th of December, World Soil Day. And again, just such a blessing to be able to have people with this level of passion for planet and for humanity. And then, of course, after that was really collaborative putting together of a municipal capability for developmental leadership program offered by the CSIR in the Northern Cape. And again, it was a number of different institutions and companies collaborating to put that program together and to deliver it to both councillors and technocrats in Tsansabane and Gamagara municipalities. And that included the CSIR team, the University of Pretoria, Kagiso Trust, Lively Design Thinking, and ourselves as the Barefoot Facilitator. And a lot of the content of that workshop, it was the final in a 3-part series, was focused on the need for collaboration between municipal departments, between elected representatives and officials or technocrats, between businesses in a local area and municipalities, between communities and businesses. And so all in all, collaboration has really stood out this week. And I think collaboration is not only for business. I think it's an important element for business, but increasingly to solve the complexity of what the globe is facing right now, collaboration is the only way forward.
So I'm going to step away from collaboration for a minute, and something you mentioned to me in particular that stood out was caring for the environment. I know through initiatives like Save Our Soil, a lot of work has been done. But something that stood out to me in particular is in an AI-driven world, how do we need to see our usage of artificial intelligence and make a conscious effort to conserve the environment?
Adi, it appears that a lot of advocates for AI, and I want to say that AI is a reality and it's here, and I'm not saying that it should not be embraced, but I think to grow our consciousness on every time we ask AI or an AI application to answer something that we are quite capable of getting an answer for ourselves, there's actually massive amounts of water and power that are required to keep these AI data centers running, to churn out answers to the many things that people are asking AI about. And I think to become a lot more circumspect about the way in which AI is used. So even in the course that happened in the Northern Cape, Professor Mark Rania from the University of Pretoria was sharing some examples where in fact AI is churning out the wrong geographic locations for areas, the wrong maps, and students are kind of just merrily asking AI for answers for assignments that they have and are actually literally giving the wrong information spatially, geographically. These are potentially students who are being trained in spatial planning. We did, however, use some very interesting case studies which had been AI generated by Jeff Bickford of Lively Design Thinking, and Jeff explained the very considered way in which he had gone back and asked for these case studies to be continuously refined, and you've got to read them and you've got to go back and look at them. So I think the first thing is we really don't have to ask AI for everything, things that we are able to figure out, especially if every time we do that, we remember that both water and power, scarce resources across the globe, need to be conserved. And then when we do use it, to use it with an element of discernment.
I know you spend a lot of time with lecturers at universities, and something that stood out for me through my own research about AI is the lack of critical thinking in young people today. Could we unpack how we might be able to bridge the gap in the Gen AI era?
So, Anil, I think it is very concerning that MIT in Boston has actually done studies of brain function based on over-reliance on AI and how certain parts of the brain and certain neural connections actually get depleted when there's an over-dependence on AI. I think there's also, I shared an article with you from Otto Scharmer, the Presencing Institute and MIT, on the different forms of intelligence that we are going to require if we want to use AI sensibly and in a responsible fashion. So I think this is all very new. There's a lot of hype, but I would exercise caution. I mean, I think it was that article, was actually another article that I may have shared with you this week, which says, you don't ever ask AI a question where it says, I don't know, even if it doesn't know. And that is particularly concerning because even the wisest of human beings would sometimes be asked something and they would ponder and they may say, come back whilst I think about this or research this. And this need to get quick answers and where morality and other issues may not feature. I was also quite interested to learn in some of our conversations with colleagues this week that apparently AI can also kind of throw a little bit of a tantrum from time to time. If you kind of tell it that you don't like the answers it's giving you and so forth. And that's concerning because if we start relating to a machine as if a machine is human, who's influencing whom?
So I want to bring another perspective into the room. So I look at AI as a collaborator, back to the topic of collaboration. And I think collaborating with AI without losing your critical problem solving skills is vitally important. Do you think we can touch more on that?
I'm not sure that I'm sufficiently qualified to using AI to be able to comment on that. I have used it a couple of times. I think my big concerns are around the environmental issues. I have no doubt that people are going to be using it, and I suspect that, as you indicated, seeing it as a collaborator, but I think one still needs to validate, one still needs to verify, and there is still a deep human connection which collaborating with a machine can't exactly replace.
Thank you. I appreciate your input this week, and we will check back next week for another week of Shhh, we're in conversation.